As promised, we'll now do a bit of a more practical example of doing push notifications. You can see what I mean. Like this business of showing the payload here, that's really cute and fun and interesting, educational, but it's not necessary. It's certainly not how we would do it in the real world, right? Even coming here, when you come into this page and you go into managing subscribing and unsubscribing, well, we don't really need to see all that. Yeah, it's good and fun, educational, but that's not something we want to see. So let me just talk a bit about how obviously some things that have to be there, we don't want to get rid of because remember, these have to be filled in, right? Oh, there's other approaches that can work as well, but these have to be filled in on the client side and submitted to the server, but that doesn't mean we have to make them visible, right? So that's a simple thing that we can do here as well. Okay, let's just log back in one more time and let's just come down here. And now if I come to notifications, see, I can unsubscribe, I can come back in, I can subscribe, and away we go, right? I don't have to see all that on the screen. All right, well, that's good. But let's get into our more practical example now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to suppose we want to notify all the employees who've subscribed to notifications, obviously, whenever a new doctor joins the practice, right? So to help us with that, we're going to create a view model, okay, for a push message. Now, it's a very simple one, but still, we've seen the advantages of creating view models before. So I'm going to add a new class here. I'm going to call it push message view model. And we're set up our current push message is set up for just two basic properties, a title and a message. Just a note here, I have in comments, lowercase. Visual Studio will yell at you. It doesn't like lowercase, but that's important for JSON serialization. So again, there's multiple ways to handle that, but I don't mind just leaving it as lowercase here and letting Visual Studio yell at me. That's okay by me. All right, we're going to add another static helper for sending notifications. So all my other helpers are in utilities. So I'm going to put it here as well. So I'm going to right click. We're going to add a class here. This is going to be my push notification helper. Okay. Well, as I said, we'll make it a static class, helper utility for sending push notifications, right? So we have our send. So we have to pass in the vapid details, a list of employees, right? And then the title and message that we want to send, right? So all the employees that are going to receive it, we pass in. Okay. We get our return message ready. We build our push message view model object, right, using the title and the message. Ah, here's the red underline. Well, of course. Careful which one. Remember, with this version of .NET Core, we want to use system.text.json, right? So all we have to do is call serialize, and that gives us our payload. That's why we don't have to do all that fancy stuff in the view showing it there, although it was fun to see it, but it's not really required at all, right? So then we just go through and we're going to actually prepare, okay, for each subscription then. Okay, we're just counting how many employees, how many subscriptions, and so on and so forth, just so we can give full feedback at the end, right? So we generate our push subscription. That's similar to the code that we had earlier on. And then we just prepare it. We call send notification, just adding to the counts here as we go along. If there's a catch, an exception, right, specifically a web push exception, then we can actually give that specific feedback with our return message that will be displayed at the top of the page, right? Okay, so then we have all different returns, some for failure, some for success. Okay, at the end, we'll say it's total of how many push notifications were sent to how many employees and so on and so forth. All right, so that's good. We're already there. So let's come. We said we would do this in when we create a new doctor, just as an example. I mean, there's lots of different events that you could tie into and see them all, right? So let's come here to controllers, doctor. Now, we do need to supply, you guessed it, okay, our vapid details, and we need to get that from the configuration. So I'm going to add two things up here. A read-only, okay, our configuration, iConfiguration, so we can actually access the settings in our app settings JSON file. But I'm also going to create a private rapid details object, right, that actually has the configuration values themselves. So in the constructor, I'll kill all birds. Sorry, I shouldn't say kill birds. I don't want to kill any birds, but we'll take care of all these issues at once, okay? So we have our configuration, right? So then I'm going to build my vapid details using the configuration to get the public key and the private key. And again, you know, the mail to address you'd set up appropriately for some administrator in your system, most likely. Okay. In the create post action then, what we're going to do, let me go Control MO, shrink everything down. So in create post, right? Here is where we're going to actually say, all right, we're ready to send the notification. When? Well, obviously after we've successfully saved changes and before we redirect to details, right? So that would be the spot to put it. So we're going to add a few lines of code here. Just spacing it out so there's lots of white space to help us see what's going on. So we're going to grab, okay, with a link query, employees, including subscriptions, where there are any subscriptions, right? So we only want employees that actually have a subscription. It'd be silly to try and send it to somebody who didn't have one, right? And that will be our list of employees, right? Then we're going to call our push notification utility, the send method. We have passed the vapid details, our group of employees, and we're going to say new doctor, such and such a doctor, you can use the summary property, has joined the office, right? You know, if you wanted to get more dynamic about how you provide the message and so on, feel free, but this does the job as far as I'm concerned, okay? And then we get the result back, and then we put that in a message here to show on the screen using temp data. And then we redirect exactly the same way we were going to. All right. So let's go to the details view itself. So that's the doctor views, doctor details. Okay. And we want to show this message coming from the controller. So I'm going to put it right here. Okay. So text danger, so it's nice big red, HTML raw, show the message itself, right? So all the different HTML elements I've included in the message. So I'm basically using like list items and so on. So it'll show it all there. Okay. All right. And that is good enough for now. Let's do a demo of that. So I'll come in here. I'll log in. You know what? Let me log out for a second and log in as dstovell at niagaracollege.ca. Same password should work. Okay. All right. I must have been subscribed earlier. Sorry, I was messing around here. So let me just unsubscribe and subscribe. That's trouble with having notifications turned on, right? Okay. So now I'm subscribed here. Doesn't matter. I could do this as me. I'm an admin too. So let's come down here to doctors. We're going to create a new doctor. First name, Joe Blow. Add a specialty. Click create. Okay. There's my new doctor notification that came in. Sent notification to one subscription for Gregory House and one for David Stavell, total of 2. Now, this is maybe too much detail, right? Again, I kind of went overboard. Oh, see, I got the second one as well because we're both subscribed from the same browser, right? That's not, not a problem in the real world because that's not likely going to happen because we would probably have our own devices that we're subscribed on. But just wanted to show you the feedback that we're getting there. And it's keeping track of how many. Now, this is, as I said, overkill. Like if it's sent to 50, I'd have a list of 50 different, sent to one subscription for, da 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 da, right? And so that would be overkill. But just for a quick demo, I wanted to get some feedback up there so you could see it was actually working. Maybe let's play around a little bit more. One thing I could do, let's come back to our utility. And we could actually give a little bit more functionality here. If I bring up my push notification utility. So this copy was also in my copy paste file, right? So all we're doing here is for each employee and employees, okay, we're going to customize the message a little bit for them just by basically saying attention using the employee's name and then showing the message, right? That's the only thing we're really doing different here. Other than that, it pretty much gives the exact same result, but it just makes it a little bit more directly identifying the user that you're sending the message to as well. Okay, so I'm just going to do one more thing. Let's come to the document controller. You know what? It's great that we do this on create. What about an edit, right? Well, let's come down here to the edit post. Maybe every time a doctor is edited, everyone who subscribes should be notified as well, right? So after we successfully save changes, here is where I'm going to basically put the same code in. We'll get our employees, okay? But our message will be different. Doctor update. And then I don't know. There we go. Oh, of course, it's not doctor, it's doctor to update. Okay. All right, so now we have push notifications going out. We could do the same thing for delete as well if you wanted, right? Just I'm lazy. I'd rather do an update. Okay, log in. It doesn't matter who I log in at, so let's go back in as admin. I'm going to come down to doctors. I'm going to edit Gregory House here. Maybe I'll do Doogie Hauser, right? Doogie, we had the middle initial wrong. There we go. Okay. Attention, David Stabell. Doogie Z. Hauser has been updated. Yay, there we go. And in a moment or two, I should get the other message coming through as well. There we go. So it just took a moment or two, and then we have the second message coming for Gregory House as well. So they've both been fully informed that the doctor has been updated, and away we go. All right, so that's just a bit of a more practical example of how you would actually use push notifications in a real application. Hopefully you have fun with that.